Making headlines, President Abdul Qayyum inaugurates the Maldives measles and rubella vaccination campaign. The World Health Organization commends the Maldives for its unprecedented efforts to eliminate measles, and a top diplomat from Syrian government delegation calls for making combating terrorism the top priority in the ongoing intra-Syrian negotiations.
Good evening and welcome to Nightly News on Television Maldives with me, Fatma Sara. President Abdul Qayyum inaugurates the Maldives' measles and rubella vaccination campaign.
The National Measles and Rubella Vaccination Campaign, organized by the Health Protection Agency (HPA) with assistance from the United Nations Children's Fund (UNICEF) and the World Health Organization (WHO), will be held from February 26th to March 11th. The campaign is held as part of the government's effort to make the country measles and rubella free by the end of the year. The campaign was inaugurated with the presentation of vaccination cards by the President to 2 employees at the President's office who were vaccinated. Employees from the State Electric Company Private Limited and students at Dharmamata School were also vaccinated to mark the commencement of the campaign. Speaking at the function, Minister of Health stated that 11 countries in the South Asia region have set the goal of eliminating measles by the year 2020, and that with the vaccination campaign inaugurated today, Maldives will become the first country to achieve the target within 2017. Additionally, the minister appealed to the public to fulfill their duties in contributing to the vaccination campaign. Arrangements have been made for those requiring vaccination to have easy access via stations established throughout the Maldives. Vaccinations will be provided in 11 stations in Mali alone. The resident representative of the World Health Organization to Maldives, Dr. Arvind Mathur, and various government officials also attended the inauguration. Measles and rubella are highly contagious diseases and mainly affecting children and young adults. These diseases transmit very quickly amongst unvaccinated population living in crowded areas. Health authorities revealed that vaccination is the most effective prevention for measles and rubella. HPA says that children and young adults between the ages of 8 to 25 years will be vaccinated under the campaign.
The World Health Organization commends the Maldives for its unprecedented efforts to eliminate measles. In a statement, WHO Regional Director for Southeast Asia, Dr. Poonam Khetropal Singh, said that the launch of the measles and rubella campaign today is a demonstration of its strong commitment to rid the country of the disease, a major childhood killer globally as well as in WHO Southeast Asia region. She said that though countries in WHO Southeast Asia region are rolling out MR campaigns, the Maldives' intervention is unique as it covers adults up to the age of 25 years. She said the campaign will help close any immunity gaps and lay the groundwork for elimination of this life-threatening disease. Noting that the Maldives has not reported any measles case since 2010, Dr. Khetropal said this mass campaign will fast-track progress towards WHO's regional goal of measles elimination by 2020 and achieving the Sustainable Development Goal of ending preventable deaths of newborns and children under 5 by 2030 and ensuring health and well-being for all at all ages. She said in the Southeast Asia region in 2015, an estimated 54,500 lives were lost to measles, while approximately 50,000 births were defected by rubella, a disease that causes irreversible birth defects such as deafness and heart diseases when transmitted from mother to fetus. WHO representative Dr. Arvind Mathur praises President Abdul Qayyum for his visionary leadership and support in launching nationwide measles and rubella vaccination campaign across Maldives today.
Speaking at a press conference held at the President's office following the launch of the National Measles and Rubella Vaccination Campaign, WHO country representative to the Maldives, Dr. Arvind Mathur, said that Maldives has not reported a case of measles since 2010, and with the campaign, the country has fast-tracked elimination of measles by 2017, earlier than the WHO regional goal of measles elimination by 2020. Dr. Mathur said that this campaign is unprecedented as it aims to cover not only children of 8 to 14 years, but young people of 15 to 25 years to completely bridge the immunity gap.
Reaching out to such a large number across the country is only feasible and possible through a multi-sectoral and a society-wide mobilization. I acknowledge Health Minister Nazim's effort to mobilize and partnering with several ministries, media, public and private sector companies and other stakeholders, as today we witness their overwhelming participation in the campaign. Maldives continues to make remarkable progress with a strong health system today that yielded many successes in public health. It is heartening to note that continued commitment at the highest level and under insightful leadership of His Excellency the President, Maldives health sector is already undergoing further reforms to meet the emerging and changing needs of the people in the country.
Dr. Mathur said that the campaign is a strong example of how multi-sectoral and society-wide mobilization can further public health goals. He thanked the media for their overwhelming support to the effort and urged the people to participate in the campaign so that no eligible person is left behind. The WHO country representative also said that in addition to the campaign, enhanced surveillance for both measles and rubella are critical to achieve and sustain public health gains. Dr. Mathur further said that WHO country office has facilitated all required support to the Ministry of Health, including the technical oversight of the Maldives Technical Advisory Group and the National Verification Committee, updating of surveillance guidelines and training of public health focal points from islands and atolls. He said the Maldives is now ready for submission of its country report for regional verification and expressed confidence that the country will soon get the approval of the Regional Verification Committee for elimination of measles. He further assured the Health Minister and the people of Maldives of WHO's continued technical support and its closer collaboration with the government to achieve yet another public health milestone towards a healthier Maldives.
Vice President Abdul Jihad inaugurates Maldives Inland Revenue Authority MIRA's new branch in Thinadhu Island of South Huadu Atoll. The Vice President was accompanied by Commissioner General of Taxation Yazid Mohammed and President of Thinadhu Council. With the new branch in Thinadhu, MIRA now has 8 outlets in the atolls. MIRA was established as a separate and independent legal entity under the Tax Administration Act, which was ratified on March 18, 2010. The authority's objectives are to enforce the taxation acts and implement taxation policies and carry out all work in respect of receiving all taxes imposed by state pursuant to the law. Junior Chamber International holds a forum on promoting youth engagement in policy making. The forum, titled Youth to Leaders, was inaugurated by Majority Leader of Parliament and MP for Vilimale constituency, Ahmad Nihan Hussain Manik.
The Youth to Leaders Forum, focused on increasing youth engagement in policy making, is the third such forum organized by the JCI in the Maldives. The theme of this year's forum is Youth, Peace and Security, which is aimed at promoting the United Nations Security Council's Resolution 2250. According to JCI, the forum provides an opportunity for youth, youth-related organizations and other relevant stakeholders to engage in dialogue on youth policies and current situation of youth, with special emphasis on issues of education, religious extremism and civic engagement with high-level policymakers. JCI says the outcome of the forum will be a statement of youth appeal regarding youth inclusion in decision-making process to be presented to the President. Speaking at the inauguration ceremony, Majority Leader of Parliament and MP for Vilimale constituency, Ahmad Nihan Hussain Manik highlighted the projects initiated by the government for the development and empowerment of youth in the country. Junior Chamber International JCI is a non-profit international non-governmental organization of young people between 18 and 40 years old. It has members in about 124 countries and regional or national organizations in many of them. It has consultative status with the Council of Europe, with the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations, and with UNESCO. It was founded in St. Louis in 1915. It encourages young people to become active citizens and to participate in efforts towards social and economic development and international cooperation, goodwill and understanding.
Ministry of Environment and Energy signs contract for the supply and delivery of dustbins and composting equipment to 8 islands of Huad Atoll. The islands include Mamindu and Konde of Gaf Alif Atoll and Hordidu and Nadella, Fiori, Farismathoda, Vadu and Gaddu of Gaf Atoll. The agreement was signed with Entrance Private Limited. Minister of Environment and Energy Tariq Ibrahim and Managing Director of Entrance Private Limited Hassan Said signed the contracts. The total cost of the contract is 849,250 rupiah, with the dustbins and composting equipment to be delivered within 32 days. Environment Minister also signed a contract with the company for the supply and delivery of dustbins and composting equipment to Hulumyidu of Addu City and Formula City. Horizon Fisheries Private Limited becomes the first local private company to receive a Marine Stewardship Council MSC certificate and Fair Trade certificate. Horizon has now begun labeling its canned fish with the certification logo. All products of Horizon are processed and packed at Amandu Fisheries Complex. Obtaining Fair Trade certification means that the company has to give 3% of the profits gained through sale of its products to fishermen. During a press conference held today, Fisheries Minister Dr. Mohammed Shaini assured that the government will continue its effort to increase profits earned by fishermen. He said that a local company obtaining MSC Fair Trade certification is a huge achievement for the industry. Ministry of Economic Development commences a workshop on impact assessment of free trade agreement on the country's economy. Experts from the UN Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific are facilitating the workshop. Speaking at the opening ceremony, Minister of Economic Development Mohammed Said highlighted the importance of organizing such workshop at a time when the Maldives is on the verge of signing free trade agreements with China and other countries. He added that government is negotiating with Hong Kong and have invited few other countries such as United States, Japan and United Kingdom to establish free trade agreements. Minister Said further said that he was confident that UNESCAP continue as a strong partner in supporting the government in building capacity in trade-related fields. The two-day workshop is being held at Customs Building in Mala City. Chinese state media says the country's first offshore oil platform has departed to the United Kingdom. State broadcaster CCTV reported that the floating platform, Hope No. 6, carried by China's largest semi-submersible ship, set sail from China's eastern Zhejiang province on Saturday morning to North Sea oil field in the UK for oil production, storage and uploading. CCTV reported that it has the maximum processing capacity of 44,000 barrels of crude oil a day, and it's able to deal with mud and impurities of the crude oil under sea and the ship purified oil by shuttle tankers. CCTV said Hope No. 6 is expected to bring into operation in June after arriving in the UK. Chinese smartphone maker TCL Communication introduces its first BlackBerry licensed phone ahead of the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona.
The new BlackBerry Key 1 smartphone was unveiled in Barcelona on Saturday ahead of the Mobile World Congress, Europe's largest annual trade fair. TCL Communications, which struck a brand licensing deal with BlackBerry Limited in December, is focusing the phone's marketing around security, one of the key factors that underpin the Canadian company's phenomenal success in the pre-smartphone era.
So, the BlackBerry Key 1 is and will be the most secure Android device in the market, full stop. And to make sure we can keep to that promise, we have two elements. One is BlackBerry company is taking care of the software, making sure the software is at the best level in terms of security, and having monthly updates on the security. This is really, really key.
The device runs Android 7.1, giving users access to the Google Play Store and apps, and receives Google security patch updates, which many Android smartphones lack. The Key 1 combines a touch display with a physical keyboard to give users more usable space for typing than a typical 5.5-inch all-touch smartphone. TCL is best known as maker of Alcatel handsets and ranked as the world's number 7 phone maker according to recent IDC data. The Key 1 is set to be launched in April with a price tag of $549.
Looking at news from international arena, Malaysia welcomes Saudi Arabia's King Salman for the start of a rare month-long Asian tour, where the monarch will build ties and seek to draw more investments to the oil-rich Gulf nation.
The visit is the first by a Saudi king to Malaysia in more than a decade, as the Arab nations court Asian investors for the state of a 5% stake in State Farm Aramco in 2018, expected to be the world's biggest IPO. He was received by Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak before being whisked away in a heavily guarded convoy for a salute ceremony of Malaysia's parliament grounds. The leader was greeted in Parliament with a 21-gun salute. A royal court statement carried on Saudi Arabia's state media SPA reported the King Salman also planned to visit Indonesia, Brunei, Japan, China, the Maldives and Jordan to meet the leaders of those countries to discuss bilateral relations and regional and international issues of common concern. Government sources with knowledge of the visit said a 600-strong delegation will accompany the king of his 4-day visit to Malaysia, where the cooperations on energy development will be on agenda. State oil firm Petroleum National Berhad, Petronas and Saudi Aramco will sign an agreement on Tuesday to collaborate in Malaysia's refinery and petrochemical integrated development project as a boost of Southeast Asian's economy, which has been reeling under weak global oil prices. The last time a Saudi king visited Malaysia was in 2006, when King Abdullah, King Salman's half-brother and predecessor, flew in with a 300-member delegation. Officials in those countries said after Malaysia, the king is expected to travel Jakarta and Bali in Indonesia from March 1st to 9th, with an even larger entourage of 1,500 people, followed by a trip to Japan from March 12th to 14th.
A diplomat from Syrian government delegations called for making combating terrorism the top priority in the ongoing intra-Syrian negotiations. Here's more on this. Bashar Jafari, the permanent representative of the Syrian Arab Republic to the UN and the head of the Syrian government delegation, made the remarks at a press conference following a meeting with the UN Special Envoy for Syria, Staffan de Mistura. His remarks came after 2 suicide attacks took place in Syria's central province of Homs, killing at least 42 people on the same day. Jafari said the attacks aimed to derail the Geneva talks and cast a shadow in Geneva. He requested Mistura to issue a statement condemning the suicide attacks, adding that they will also request the special envoy to ask all the parties participating in Geneva peace process to make the same statement condemning the attacks. Mistura gave a written material to Jafari on Friday, hoping to discuss the way and contents of the next peace talks with Syrian delegation. Jafari said they will reply at the next meeting. However, the topic of the peace talks plan was completely replaced by combating terrorism on Saturday's meeting. The next meeting should be held on Tuesday according to Mistura's agenda. Mediated by the UN, Syrian government and opposition delegations joined the latest round of talks on Thursday, which aimed to bring Syria's 6-year-old crisis to an end. Since the Syria conflict began in March 2011, around 400,000 people have lost their lives, with millions more forced to flee their homes. US-backed Iraqi forces pushed deeper into western Mosul after retaking the city's airport from IS and punching into built-up areas of the militants' last major urban stronghold in the country. Troops advanced in several more populated, built-up southern districts, and about 1,000 civilians walked across the front lines, the largest displacement since the new offensive began a week ago in a bid to deal the ultra-hardline insurgents a decisive blow. A military source said federal police and an elite interior ministry unit known as Rapid Response have completely recaptured Harvey al-Joshag east of the airport and began clearing houses in the Tayaran district to its north. Sergeant Tesir Halil from Rapid Response said IS was resisting with snipers and roadside bombs. Kuala Lumpur International Airport Terminal 2 is declared a safe zone after a detection operation found no trace of VX nerve agent, a lethal chemical weapon found in the body of a Democratic People's Republic of Korea man who died on February 13th.
Personnel wearing protective clothes and masks use detector-like equipments to sniff certain areas at the self-check kiosk, medicine clinic, washrooms, information desk and a restaurant, the areas that came in contact with the victim and the suspects. As a highly stable substance, VX nerve agent is very difficult to evaporate, causing concerns that the airport's Terminal 2, which recorded a passenger traffic of more than 27 million in 2016, could pose a danger to passengers and tourists.
We confirm, number one, there is no hazardous material found in KLIA 2. Number two, KLIA 2 is free from any form of contamination of hazardous material. And thirdly is KLIA 2 is declared a safe zone.
Selangor Police Chief Abdul Samad Ahmed said the operation was comprised of a team from the police in charge of chemical, biological and radiological nuclear explosives, a team from the Fire and Rescue Department tasked with handling hazardous materials, and a team from the Atomic Energy Licensing Board. He said cops, medical staffs and airport staffs that had been in contact with North Korean men were doing fine after medical examination was carried out. When asked about the two female suspects whom the police said used their bare hands to carry out the attack, survived after the attacks, Samah said the police are still looking into that by doing some tests. Samah also said the police has raided a condominium related to the four suspects who have fled Malaysia on the same day of the killing and took some substance samples related to the case. He did not reveal what kind of samples were taken, but said they have been sent to a lab for further analysis. As for North Korean Embassy's second secretary believed to be involved in the incident, Samah said the police will give him a reasonable period to show up, otherwise they will move toward other provisions of the law that they have in Malaysia to compel his presence. The North Korean man died on the way from the Malaysian airport to hospital on February 13th. Malaysian police identified him as Kim Tol from the North Korea. Deputy Prime Minister Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said embassy documents showed the man was Kim Jong-nam, half-brother of the North Korean top leader Kim Jong-un, but the claim was denied by the North Korean ambassador in Malaysia.
U.S. President Donald Trump announces he will skip the White House Correspondents' Association dinner.
U.S. President Donald Trump announced on Saturday that he would not attend the annual White House Correspondents' Association dinner, a high-profile event that draws celebrities, politicians and journalists. He made the announcement on Twitter. On the campaign trail and in the White House, Trump has had a strained relationship with the press, calling journalists the enemy of the people and frequently criticizing outlets and individual reporters whose coverage he does not like. The reporters group said it would go ahead with its April 29th dinner despite Trump's absence. The Washington event typically draws movie stars, politicians and business leaders to hear a humorous speech by the sitting president. Ronald Reagan was the last president to sit out the event after he was shot in 1981.
We all know about your credentials and breadth of experience. For example, no, seriously, just recently, in an episode of Celebrity Apprentice, at the steakhouse, the men's cooking team did not impress the judges from Omaha Steaks. And there was a lot of blame to go around, but you, Mr. Trump, recognized that the real problem was a lack of leadership. And so ultimately you didn't blame Little John or Meatloaf. You fired Gary Busey. And these are the kind of decisions that would keep me up at night.
In previous years, presidents have often used the dinner as a chance to show off their sense of humor. President George W. Bush joked that his mother was a fan of rocker Ozzy Osbourne, to laughter and applause. US President Barack Obama in 2011 poked fun at those who questioned his citizenship, including Trump. During Obama's evisceration of Trump, video showed the business mogul sitting in the audience stone-faced.
Barcelona coach Luis Enrique says he will not want any of Atletico Madrid's qualities for his team as he prepares to face Diego Simeone's men for the 12th time since he took charge of Barcelona in 2014 in a match that could have huge ramifications for the title. Barca trail Real Madrid by 1 point at the top, and their hopes of catching their bitter rivals were lifted last week when Real lost a scheduled game at Valencia, meaning a win, and Atletico would provisionally take them back to the top before Real's testing game at Villarreal. Real have 52 points while Barca have 51, although the leaders have a game in hand on the Catalans, whose confidence has been punctured by the 4-0 thrashing they suffered at the hands of PSG in the Champions League. And on a lighter note, the top 12 contestants of Maldivian Idol Season 2 have been confirmed. The 12 contestants were selected through the piano round held over the previous 2 weekends. The first of 6 of the 12 contestants who will compete in the gala round of Maldivian Idol Season 2 were selected through the first show of the piano round held on the 17th of this month, which saw the performances by 8 of the then remaining 16 contestants. The second show of the piano round with 8 contestants was aired on Friday night. After fiercely competitive performances, 2 were eliminated on the results show aired last night.
Lobi lobi mune TV da hodi libeto kala.
6 contestants who made it through to the gala round last night were Ahmad Nabil Mohammed, Hamoud Ahmad, Hassan Irfan, Ahmad Farash, Aishat Jai Shawahid and Abdullah Hishan. And it was the end of the journey for Ahmad Maish Niaz and Hussein Sama. The competition now gets tougher as participants prepare to face off in the gala round the next weekend and battle it out to progress to the next round of Maldivian Idol. With that, that's it for now. Stay tuned for more updates of recent current affairs stories here on Television Maldives. Thank you for joining us. I wish you a pleasant evening. Good night.